Can I force a married woman to leave with me in front of my husband? Jack. This was our Friday night date. We try to do this at least once a week, and I think we've managed to stick to that average. We were at one of our favorite places, a Mexican restaurant and bar called El Guapos. They had a really nice outdoor patio, and the weather was perfect. Cool, but not cold, slightly breezy. We struck up a conversation with the guy at the table next to us. It was just one of those things that happen. He was alone, but seemed nice enough. He said his name was John. We chatted with him about our plans for the future, and when we would save enough to make a down payment on a house. If things stayed the way they were now, we would have enough money in a year or so. That was stage 1 of the plan. Stage 2 was building equity. Stage 3 was the big house. Stage 4 was children. We were young and we had time. We are me, Jack Andrews, and my wife, Jill. Save the jokes, we've heard them all. We had an entire shelf of Jack and Jill-themed mementos in our apartment from well-meaning friends and family members. We got married 2 years ago and have been living in wedded bliss ever since. All we had now was our 1-bedroom love nest, but it was ours. We didn't have the latest cars, but they were reliable and, more importantly, paid off. We didn't have the biggest TV, but it worked well enough for us. Our furniture wasn't the newest or fanciest, but it was clean and well put together. I just made a comment along these lines. So, if all goes well, we can start putting buns in the oven in 5 years or so. John replied, I might be able to push that timetable a little further. How so? A few years ago, I was very fortunate in business. I am in a position to offer you a very favorable deal. And what kind of deal would that be? Before I answer that question, Google me. John Albright. That should prove my bona fides. Jill pulled out her phone and looked. You have your own Wikipedia entry. It says you have your own equity that... That's probably out of date by now. I'm nowhere near $10 billion. Okay, so what's the point? Even though we just met, I like you guys and I want to help you. So I'm going to give you $1 million. That's after taxes, so the actual amount is $1.4 million. But there's something I want. I waited for the second shoe to drop. I want Jill for the weekend. I was stunned. What? Is that serious? I looked at Jill. I could only assume the look of stunned disbelief on her face mirrored mine. Back off, asshole. Go back to your table and leave us alone. This is a serious offer. She leaves her phone and purse and walks out with me. I'll have her back by 6 p.m. Sunday night and deposit the money into your account at that time. As long as she's with me, she'll do whatever I want. I promise I won't hurt her or leave any marks on her. Fuck you! My answer is no. I'll go stand by the door and wait 5 minutes while you two talk it over. If she hasn't joined me by then, I'll leave and you'll never see me again. He stood up and walked toward the exit, leaning against the wall. Can you believe the arrogance of this asshole? No, I can't. I know the rich live differently, but this is a whole other level of pretension. She paused. But $1 million would be nice. I mean, we could go straight to phase 4. We'd buy a house with cash, finance college for our kids, and still have enough money left over to invest. We could retire at 40. Don't tell me you're actually considering that option. Of course not. I'm just saying it would be great. I looked at her. Good, because if you did, it would destroy us. Don't be ridiculous. I would never do anything to hurt our relationship. I looked at her again. I could see John was watching us. He tapped his finger on his wristwatch. Well, I don't feel like staying here anymore. Let's go home and watch a movie or something. Okay. Keep an eye on my stuff. I have to go to the bathroom right away. I watched as she headed towards the restrooms. She stopped to say something to John, no doubt to reprimand him once more. Suddenly, they were out the door together. I felt my heart clench for a second, and then I snapped out of my seat and ran out the door. I saw her get into the Mercedes. Just as she was about to close the door, I shouted her name. Jill, don't do this! She looked at me, said, I'm sorry with one lip, and then closed the door. The car pulled out of the parking lot. I ran after it, figuring I could jump on top of it or something, when suddenly I was grabbed from behind. I turned around and saw one of the biggest men I'd ever seen grab me by the shoulders. Let go of me. That's my wife. Sorry, buddy, but Mr. Albright doesn't want any trouble. I watched as the car pulled out of the parking lot and drove off at a very high rate of speed. I tried to break free and follow them, but I couldn't. He had an iron grip. I watched the taillights disappear into the distance, just like my marriage. If I let you go, will you do something stupid? I should point out that she was not forced in any way. I looked at him. What would you do if it was your wife? Beat the shit out of him, of course. That's why he sent me down here to hold you for a while. But now they're gone, so I'm letting you go. I stood there for a second. The bodyguard waited, then got in his car and drove off. Gil. Okay, keep an eye on my stuff. I need to go to the bathroom right away. I hated to trick him, but I knew he would never agree. I headed towards the restrooms, but stopped when I approached John. Let's go before I change my mind and before Jack makes a scene. John turned and walked out the door. I followed after him. There was a Mercedes waiting just outside. John got into the driver's seat. I opened the passenger door, but before I could get in, I heard Jack yell, "Jill, don't do that!" There was a mixture of surprise and offense on his face. I stopped for a second, then said, "I'm sorry," got in the car and closed the door. It hurt that I was hurting him, but I was doing it for us. John immediately pulled out of his seat. "Don't worry," he said. "He'll get over it." I hope so. I tried to put Jack out of my mind. "So where are we going?" "I have a house in the country. We'll spend the weekend there." The rest of the drive was silent. We drove for about an hour, heading out of town. Pretty soon we got off the main highway and went down a series of narrow country roads. Eventually we pulled up to a gate. John pressed a button on the remote control and the gate opened. We drove down the gravel driveway for about a minute, then pulled up to a rather large stone house. It was 2 stories high and looked like it had been there a long time. We parked the car out front. It used to be a hunting lodge. I bought it along with the surrounding land a couple years ago and made a few improvements. John said, "Come on inside." The interior was quite rustic. A door led to a hallway that connected to a large study. We walked through to the kitchen. John opened a door into another short hallway that reminded me of a hotel corridor. That impression was reinforced when John opened the first door on the right and stepped inside. "This is where you're going to live," he said. "These are the quarters for the kitchen staff and other servants." It was a small, windowless room made of cinder blocks painted a dirty white color. The room contained a bed, a dresser, and a desk. The bed was a bare mattress. Against the wall was an open closet with nothing in it. Next to the closet was the bathroom. John opened the top drawer of the dresser and pulled out a folded piece of something that looked like cloth. "I want you to go into the bathroom, take off all your clothes and put this on. All of your clothes, including your underwear and shoes." He held out the bundle to me. I looked at it. He made a motion with his hand, sending me into the bathroom, so I went in and closed the door. The bundle wasn't made of cloth. It was some kind of opaque white plastic, probably Tyvek. It was like a jumpsuit, except it was completely snug, with mittens built into the sleeves and pinnies on the feet. Okay, that was weird, but whatever. I undressed, then put on the jumpsuit. There was a zipper in the front. I zipped it up to the crotch between my breasts, and then stepped out. "Is that how you like it?" John walked over, grabbed the zipper, and pulled it all the way up to my neck. "There, that's better." Then he went into the bathroom and gathered up all my clothes. "You'll get clean clothes back Sunday before you leave. There are more bunny suits in the dresser if you need a change of clothes. They're disposable. Throw them in the trash when you take them off. There are also sheets and a blanket in the dresser." He stepped closer to me, invading my personal space. "Are you ready for your first—" He smiled. "Assignment?" I nodded, dreading what came next. "Clean this room and the bathroom. It's been months and this place isn't in the best shape." "What?" "Clean it up. There are cleaning supplies in the bathroom cabinet and a broom in the closet. I hope the floors are clean enough to eat off of. Do you understand?" "You want me to clean the room? That's it?" "Yes, that's all for now. When you're done, you can make your bed and go to sleep. If you get hungry later, there are sandwiches in the kitchen." I'm staring at him. "Come on, Chop Chop, time's wasting. Get busy." Then he turned and walked out, carrying my clothes away and closing the door behind him. What else could I do? I started cleaning the bathroom. There was dried urine on the toilet. There was a black ring around the tub. The fixtures were covered in water stains. There was mold on the walls of the tub. It took me about an hour to clean the bathroom. Fortunately, the room itself wasn't too bad. I just had to dust the desk and dresser, sweep the floor, and then wipe it down with a damp cloth. The place shined. When I was done, I made the bed. I was more exhausted than I realized. As soon as I was done, I took a shower, then crawled naked into bed and fell asleep. Next thing I knew, I was woken up by a knock on the door. "Wake up! Get dressed! Let's get out of here! Now we're getting down to the real business." I was confused at first. Then I remembered I was at John's. "Okay, I'll be right out." I looked in the dresser. There were a few dozen bunny suits. I grabbed one and put it on, making sure I zipped it all the way up. "Into the kitchen," John said. He was sitting at the table. "Make us breakfast. Can you make an omelet?" "Yes." "Go ahead." There was plenty of food in the pantry and refrigerator, so I made a couple omelets. Lots of cheese, bell peppers, mushrooms, and some ham. I put the omelets on plates, then put one in front of John and sat down at the end of the table to eat mine. "That looks delicious," he said, and started eating. We finished our meal in silence. When he was done, he said, "Clean up here. When you are done, join me outside," and left. To say I was puzzled would be an understatement. I was expecting to be some kind of sex slave, not a day laborer in the kitchen. But whatever. The longer I could put off breaking my wedding vows, the better. I loaded the plates and silverware into the dishwasher and cleaned the skillet by hand. I finished and walked out the front door. John was sitting in an Adirondack chair, one of two on the patio, with a small table between them. "Good, you didn't waste any time. See this?" He pointed to something that looked like a handle with wheels. I realized it was a real lawn mower. Then he pointed to the expansive yard. "Mow the lawn." "Wait a second," I replied. "I thought I was here to, You agreed to do whatever I wanted for a pretty generous compensation. What I want you to do now is mow the lawn. If you don't want to honor our agreement, you can leave at any time and forfeit your compensation. The gate is that way." He pointed to the driveway. "Or you mow the lawn. Your choice." I stared at him. I'd mowed lawns before, but always with a power mower. I grabbed the mower, carried it over to the grass, and started mowing. The lawn must have been at least half an acre, maybe more. Fortunately, it wasn't too overgrown. I pushed the thing all the way to the farthest edge, then turned back around. For the next few hours, I slowly mowed, taking breaks only to drink water and eat lunch, which I had to make myself. Every half hour or so, John would come out to check on my progress and then go back inside. By the time the sun started to set, I was hot, sweaty, and tired, but got the job done. The bunny suit was like a portable sauna. I had long since unzipped the zipper down to my belly button. I rolled the lawnmower back to the front door where John was waiting. "Good job. Go take a shower and change into your new bunny suit. When you're done, go to the kitchen and make dinner. There's steaks in the fridge. I like them medium rare." He started to go back inside, then stopped. "Oh, and zipper it up. You look indecent." I looked down and noticed that one of my breasts was peeking out of my suit. I had no idea how long it had been hanging out like that. I zipped up and stomped back to my room. After my shower, I got dressed in my new bunny suit and went into the kitchen. No one was there. I looked in the refrigerator and found 2 steaks that weren't there this morning. I also saw some mushrooms and veggies in the drawer, but screw that. He said steak, so that's all I was going to cook. I preheated the oven. When the steaks were done, I poked my head into the cabinet and yelled, "Dinner's ready!" I pulled out his steak and put it on the table, then sat down to eat mine. A minute later, John sat down and ate his steak without comment. When he was done, he told me that when I finished cleaning up the kitchen, I could go to bed. So I did. I took off my suit, climbed into bed, and promptly fell asleep. The next morning, I was awakened again by a knock on the door. "Get up and get to work! It's your last day of work!" I got up and put on a fresh bunny suit. John was waiting in the kitchen. "Make breakfast again, same as yesterday." Breakfast and cleaning the kitchen passed in silence. When I finished and turned on the dishwasher, John directed me to the room next to my bedroom. It was the same as my bedroom, but completely empty. "I want you to paint this room." "What?" "Paint the room. There's paint, rollers, brushes, and a change of clothes in the closet. Just this room. Do a good job, and this will be the last task of the weekend. And don't paint the light switches and outlets. Take the covers off and replace them when you're done." I looked at him incredulously. "Paint the room? You're kidding. You're paying me for maintenance? That's it?" "For now, but get busy. You don't have much time." Then he walked out. I stood for a second, then looked in the closet. There was a 5-gallon bucket of sky blue paint and a bunch of tools and supplies. I grabbed a mat and spread it out on the floor. I found a screwdriver and removed the outlet and switch covers, then covered the outlets and switches themselves with duct tape. I poured some paint into the roller and got to work. It didn't take as long as I thought it would. The room wasn't that big, and there weren't any awkward details that needed to be painted over. When I was done, I put the outlet covers back on, folded the napkin, and put all the supplies back in the closet. He said this was my last assignment, so I went into the next room and took a shower. When I was done, I found that my clothes had been cleaned and laid out on the bed. I got dressed and went to find John. He was in the study. "Oh, there you are. I suppose you painted the whole thing?" "Yes, you said it was my last job." "It was. Are you ready to go back to your husband now? You must know he was very upset when you left." "I know he was. I'll make it up to him." I felt a sudden rush of guilt. My sweet husband didn't deserve what I did to him that night. He must be going crazy imagining all sorts of things. My guilt intensified when I realized it was the first time I'd thought of him all weekend. "The car should be here by now." He walked out the front door and I followed him. While we were standing there, a Mercedes pulled up. The bodyguard from the restaurant was behind the wheel. "Hop in. He'll take you home. The money will be deposited into your account by the time you're home." I opened the door, but before I sat down, I turned to him and asked, "So, what's up with all the assignments? I assumed you wanted a slave mistress or something." "Don't be ridiculous. You're an average, quite attractive woman, but with a snap of my fingers, I can get women you're nowhere near and for a lot cheaper than $1 million. It was more of a social experiment. Could I get the average married woman to leave with me in front of her husband? How long would it take?" I looked at him incredulously. Without answering, I got into the car and closed the door. The bodyguard drove me home in silence. Not a word was spoken. When we reached the apartment, I got out of the car. He drove away. I went to the door and unlocked it. I was glad my key worked. "Jack? Honey? I'm back. Where are you?" "Jack." I looked at the bodyguard. "What would you do if it was your wife?" "Beat the shit out of him, of course. That's why he sent me down here to hold you for a while. But now they're gone, so I'm letting you go." I stood there for a second. The bodyguard waited for me to do something, then got in his car and drove off. "Hey, Jack, if you're leaving, you need to pay your bill first." That was Mike, the restaurant manager. We got to know a lot of the staff during the time we went there. "Damn it. Didn't you see what happened? My wife just left me. And you're worried about the bill?" "Wow, don't worry about it. I'll fix it. I'm sorry. I never thought she'd do that." "Yeah, me neither." Mike handed me her purse. "She left it on the table. The phone was in the side pocket of the purse." "Thank you. I'm not sure what the hell I'm going to do now." "Don't do anything too stupid. Go home. Think about it." "That's a good idea. I don't remember how I got home. As soon as I closed the front door, everything came crashing down on me. My wife was gone. My marriage had collapsed. All the dreams and hopes we had were gone. I collapsed on the couch and stared at the ceiling. All I could think about was, she's gone." I don't know how long that was. I must have fallen asleep at some point because I opened my eyes and it was morning. At first I was confused as to why I was on the couch, but then the memories came flooding back. The longing hit me again just as hard. Then something else hit. Anger. How dare she do this to us? She threw away everything we had for money. I held back the anger and shoved the longing deep inside. Act now, hurt later. There was no way we could stay together after this. I had to see a lawyer on Monday, but there were things I could do now, too. I had until Sunday night. First, finances. Paid off the joint credit card and then canceled it. Then the bank. I opened a new account in my name, transferring half of the savings account minus $2,000 into it. That $2,000 I took in cash because I would need it. I also transferred half of the current account. Second, I needed a new place to live. I called my friend Pete. Pete had a lot of friends because he had a pickup truck. People were always turning to him for help with moving. I told him what had happened. What did she do? Walked out? Just because some rich asshole waved a bunch of money in front of her? Damn, that's cold. I can't believe she would do that. Believe me, I'm still in shock. I need to find a place to live and get my junk out of the apartment before she gets back on Sunday. Thinking about that extended stay motel near the office. No way! You can stay at my place. How much shit do you have to move? Actually, not that much. Clothes, a few books, and stuff like that. I don't care about the furniture. All right, pack up. I'll grab some boxes and be at your place as soon as I can. I packed my clothes for the week in a gym bag. The rest went into garbage bags. Pete showed up with some boxes, and we loaded them up with books and a few other miscellaneous things. I didn't care about anything in the kitchen. Silverware is cheap. All my stuff was packed into Pete's truck or my car. I looked around the apartment to make sure I had everything. I saw a picture of me and Jill at our wedding. It was one of my favorite pictures of us. It was. I decided to be petty. I took the photo out of the frame, ripped it in half, and put the pieces on the coffee table next to Jill's purse. Then I took off my wedding ring and placed it on top. I thought for a second and decided to be very petty. We had a fireplace and a couple logs for the fire. I took our wedding album off the shelf, opened it halfway, covered the log in the fireplace with it, and lit it. Then I followed Pete to his house. I wasn't very good company that night, but I wasn't trying to be. I know I watched a bunch of TV shows, but I don't remember any of it. All I could think about was my wife leaving me to fuck a billionaire for money. Eventually, I took a dose of NyQuil and fell asleep. I woke up late on Sunday. Physically, I felt better, but emotionally, I was shattered. Pete kept trying to engage me in conversation, but I wasn't feeling it. I thought about getting a drink, but knew it wouldn't solve anything. Eventually, my phone rang. I saw that the call was from Jill, so I sent it to voicemail. I didn't want to talk to her at all. Then she sent me a text. I'm back. Please give me a call. We need to talk. Nothing happened. Nothing. Yeah, right. And even if it was true, it didn't matter. She'd left me, being willing to do anything. Then I remembered something. I turned on my laptop. Jill. He wasn't in the living room. I went to the bedroom. He wasn't there either. Then I saw an open closet. His things were gone. No, no, no. He was gone. I ran back into the living room and looked for a note or something. Then I saw the coffee table, and I collapsed on the couch. It was our wedding picture, torn in half, and on top of it was Jack's engagement ring. I don't know how long I sat like that. It could have been a minute, maybe an hour. Then I realized I had to find Jack. I had to tell him that nothing happened. I grabbed my cell phone and called him. The message went straight to voicemail. I left a message. Jack, honey, where are you? Please call me. We need to talk. I love you. Then I sent him a text. I'm back. Please call me. We need to talk. Nothing happened. Nothing. I looked around the room. Some of the bookshelves were empty. He had taken his books. He had moved out. Then I saw the fireplace. It looked like this. No, no, no. Our wedding album, it was half burned. No, this can't be happening. I have to talk to him. Jack. Then I remembered something. I turned on my laptop and I went to the bank's website and looked at the total account. There was a new deposit of $1, $4 million, into the savings account. I transferred $700,000 to my new account and logged out. If my marriage is ruined over money, I get my half. Epilogue. They looked at each other over the conference table in the lawyer's office. The lawyers had just left, allowing them to have a private conversation. Jill, you said you'd sign the divorce papers if I talked to you. Here I am. Talk. It was the first time they'd spoken to each other since that night at the restaurant. Jack, I don't want a divorce. Nothing happened. All he did was make me do housework. I painted the walls in my room. I cleaned the bathroom. I mowed the lawn. I didn't do anything else. I didn't do anything even remotely sexual. I didn't break my vows. You don't understand. You left me at a restaurant thinking you were going to sleep with him. It doesn't matter if you slept with him or not. You left me there with the intention of making love to him. That's all that matters. I understand, you're right, I can never make it up to you, but I have to ask, please let me try. I love you. We can get through this. I know we can. Love is not the problem. In spite of everything, I still love you. Jill looked at him hopefully. But, he continued, I can't trust you anymore. Who's to say you won't make some other major unilateral decision in the future? I mean, if you've agreed to sleep with a guy for money, what else are you going to do if you think it's good for us? I'm sorry, Jill, but I can't get past this. Please sign. It's 50/50ths. I got everything I wanted out of the apartment, and I've already taken half the money. Sign it and we're done. With those words, Jack stood up and walked out. Jill sat silent for a while. She grabbed a pen and signed the papers in front of her. The end!